Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? How's it going? Looks like I am live. Looks like, and I can hear myself, so that works. How is it going? More compiler work today. I don't know why there's these weird spaces right now. But yeah, more compiler work today. How's everybody doing? Here, let me open up. Let's see, Discord. Wonderful. Okie dokie. We are officially live. Hello, everybody. Live. Almost put HTTPS twice. Landar XT says, hey, what is up, Landar? How's it going? We just went live. We're still making the announcement. So awesome you're here. Compiler compilation. You know? We'll do something else. We'll do more work on compiler. Why not? Part 6. I know you are already here, Landar, so that's a pretty funny one. But I very much appreciate it. Hey, Sim on the Swede, Landar. How's it going, everybody? Thank you so much for showing up. How are you doing? My favorite compiler creator, Sim on the Swede, says, thank you so much. There's a lot of awesome compiler creators out there. That's actually a very high honor for me. Like Vimy mentioned Guido van Rossum. He like created Python by himself. It was pretty cool. Alrighty. The compiler. Probably need the source. Let's go to main. Why not? Landar says, I'll admit I had a tab open on your channel for the last hour. Oh, my guy, that's so sweet. Thank you. That's really cool to hear. I really appreciate that so much. Sim on the Swede says, well, you are the first one I've known, so there's not much competition on my ranking list. That's fair. It's a niche. It's for sure a niche. Oh, Sim on the Swede gave me a love sign. Loves. Thank you so much, Sim on the Swede. Landar, thank you so much. I can't believe you had my tab open before I was even live. It's incredible. I really appreciate that. That's like next level. All right, we actually have to we gotta do stuff now. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. I really appreciate you being here. How are your days going? Everything going good? For me, it's the morning and I just woke up, but I know time zones are different everywhere. Let's think about what we want to work on. Let's check out our to-do. Yeah. There's no cocaine I'm drinking today. No Red Bull. So no caffeine. It's just water. We'll see how we get on. I presume I'll be fine. Sim on the Swede says, I'm doing good. It's almost dinner time here in Sweden. That's awesome. It's hopefully my morning can make you have a good afternoon. uh so cool. So we should definitely start a comment thing. That's not a bad idea. So let's say we work on comments. Let's work on comments. It's really good to hear you're doing good, Sim on the Swede. It's good to hear. I'm doing okay myself. Just woke up, so I'm glad to be doing compiler work right away. Gotta make sure I have my phone ready. Alrighty. Yeah, but we gotta work on comments. How about we work on them comments? Nothing like some compiler work in the morning. That's right. The smell of napalm, a little bit of compiler work. It's perfect. Do we just want to copy C? and do line comments with // That's real dedication to start streaming this early. Thank you, my guy. It's the first thing I do in the morning. I wake up, I get ready, I do this. It's a great motivator. Because I like to see all of you so much. I'm like, I gotta go see them. So we could just steal C. We could have crazy comments. I don't know. We could do like a Python thing with the hash. Anybody have any preference? I don't really. I'll implement any of them. Probably in the parser. Well, the Lexer part of the parser. Speaking of dedication, be sure to check out the YouTube for any previous VODs if you want to check them out. They're all uploaded there, if you've missed any. Moralilu says semicolon. Ooh, like Lisp. I like that. That would be horrible if we end up introducing semicolons at the end of expressions and things. But it would be fine, and we can always change it. I like Moralilu. He says semicolon. Landar says, I'd agree. Okay, we're doing semicolon. All right. So when we are lexing the next token, I think we just should make it... Let's see. If we make a semicolon white space, does that have implications? So when a token, so we have, okay, let me think about this. I'm going to say so a lot, apparently. We have B assigned to 42, so we're going to get B as a token. We're going to get the colon as a token by itself because it's a delimiter. We're going to get equals after the colon. We're going to get 42 because it's not any of these. We'll skip past all of it. Same with the equals. So get B colon equals 42. And we want to be able to have a semicolon here. And anything after that until the new line, aka, oh Christ. Okay. Sure, new lines. Why not? Good enough for me. So we're going to have to skip forward to a new line to get the beginning of our next token. Right? So I basically have to lex comment tokens until I'm done. I think that makes sense. So we'll go into like a separate control flow. So after skipping white space, we could say, well, we should probably check for the end, right? But before actually set end to end of our token. From beginning, sure. But this needs to, I guess that does the opposite thing. It sets the end of current token to the end of the token, but whatever. I know what that does now. So we basically have this token. Sorry, I'll make it a little bigger. And also get you just the Emacs view. How is everybody doing today? Landar said he was waiting with the tab open. I appreciate you so much. I'm so glad you're excited to watch. Sim on the Swede shut up right away too. Moralilu, I'm so glad you're here. It's so awesome. We got the whole crew. All right. So if token end is equal to a null terminator, return error, which is going to be okay. But that's okay because beginning and end will be equal, and that is our exit case while parsing. I should probably mention that. Whoop. Okay. End of token are equal. There is nothing more to Lex. Sure. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. So we check for the end of Lexing. We probably have to do that. Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. My issue is that sometimes we're going to have like multiple comments in a row, right? And none of them should count. So what we're going to have to do when we Lex the next token after 42, like the end is going to point here. Normally we would just skip past all white space, which would be new lines and everything, and we'd get to B. And everything's hunky-dory, right? But now we're trying to seek forward, and we have to first check for the comment delimiter. Because if we seek forward and get the comment delimiter, and well, here's the thing. This is so confusing. Because we don't want to seek forward past something else. So if we're here at the end of this token parsing, where my cursor is, we don't want to like seek past everything to get to this comment and then parse it, and then start here. So effectively, we need to skip all white space and then check for a semicolon. Right? If it is a semicolon, skip until the new line and repeat. If it's not a semicolon or a comment delimiter, then we've skipped white space to something else. Okay. Okay. Ooh, man. It's going to affect a few things. Yep, just have to do it. I think that's fine. Okay, now comment delimiters. We're going with semicolon. Also, if we hit another, yeah, we loop. So we basically just have to look for comment delimiters in a loop after skipping white space. And then skip until new line each time. Okay, okay. Set beginning token. So we're gonna have to set beginning of token every time. Okie doke. Okie doke. So we effectively, to Lex this properly, all we have to do is check for the semicolon, like I keep saying over and over. But when do we do that? So we skip this white space because our end of this token is where my cursor is now. So when we skip white space, we'll get to the semicolon. And that would happen new line or not. So that works because white space includes new lines. So then we just need to set the beginning of the token to, but only if, that's right. So, whoops, sure. Now if token beginning equals a semicolon, right? There's a better way to do this. Could I use like pointer break to ensure that one of the bytes in comment delimiters is within token beginning? We're gonna look that up really quick. We're looking at, what are we looking at? The C library, string pointer break. Let's take a look at stirpaberg. Okay. C string to be scanned. C string containing the characters to match. Returns a pointer to the character in string 1 that matches one of the characters in string 2. That's exactly what we need. So string 2 is going to be comment delimiters. String 1 is going to be token beginning. And then if this does not equal null, this is probably going to be a while. I guess that can just be like that then. And this is what? Stripperberg? So Stripperberg, string 1, string 2. We don't actually need the return value because... Ah, see, that doesn't work. This checks this whole string. I just want to check one character. Damn. So nearly. So nearly. Well, how... So, I don't want to create a whole string that's one character long. How do we figure out if there's a matching character within... like one character that matches a lot of characters? Does anybody know? uh... Nearly. We have stirchar, which works with singular characters. Is there like a stirchar that works with any amount of characters? So that it matches one of, like string pointer break. Is that helpful? What do we have to do? Okay, stir error, stir len, stir paberg, stir chur. Calculates the length, which consists entirely of characters in string 2. That's string span. I don't think that's what we need. That is scary. I've never seen string x form. Oh my god, what is this? Okay, Christ. And it's locales? Oh god. Okay. I'm not sure what this is for, but it's very cool. I've never seen it. Stir x firm. String is what I want. Ooh, is that what it is? Is it the needle haystack? Oh, okay. I think you're right. I think you're right. Thank you so much, Moralilu, for that great shout out. That is perfect. This is amazing. Thank you for helping me not just fumble around the documentation for for a lot longer. So point is our needle. The substring is bleh. Okay, so this matches an entire string. That is okay. That's okay for now. You could just make your own, to be honest. Yeah, we're just gonna roll our own. Right? Let's do it. We're good at that. We can do this. Also, I think I still need that if. So we're gonna need an int is comment, sure. Right? And then we're gonna say while comment delimiters pointer this may be terrible. Whoops. I could probably put the plus plus in here, could I not? I don't know. We'll see. While comment iterator if token beginning dereferenced equals comment it dereferenced. Also, that needs dereferenced. Then that means is comment, okay, is true. Break. And this will just let us, if we want to do more complicated stuff, like also have, I don't know, what other character is a good comment delimiter? We could do like percentage. We don't really need percentage, right? In programming, we could do hash. And this would allow us to include multiple comments. And eventually, we could get this comment delimiters during Lexing. We could actually get it from like a parsing environment or some environment. which means that you could actually, within the language, redefine some variable, and it would change how comments work, or lexed in the future. Which would be quite sweet. That's kind of Lisp style. Okay, so sure. So if it is a comment, maybe we could just handle it directly in here, and we don't need this bool style. Also this we don't need, right? So to do in here would be, why are you complaining? Oh, const chart. This can be a const, because we can compare without it complaining. Oh yeah, we are doing good. Thank you everybody for watching today. We are having a good stream. We're actually making progress. We're about to parse some comments in our compiler. Oh yeah. All we have to do is skip to after next new line or something. Yeah. Skip all white space after. See, we can't just do white space because we want spaces allowed. That's why I created the new lines one. That's right. So we need to skip. Does this? No, that's only skips entirely the ones starting at beginning. So we need to. This is where string pointer break actually comes into play, I believe. We're looking for Perturberg. We need to look at you. We want to skip to probably just a new line, actually. We probably don't need this. If token beginning is null, so if if string pointer break returns null, that means that there was a comment and this was the last line. Just return error, which is really the same as returning OK right here. But we have to set beginning. Should probably do that there then. We'll have to do this twice. Why not? Because then after we actually skip all these, we need the new beginning. All right, let's think about this. While comment it dereferenced, so we have this string. We're going to dereference it technically only once, but we could add as many as we want to this string. So yeah, why not? Let's do semicolons and hashes for now. So while this string, if token beginning, so if where we're lexing after skipping white space is a so this skips to after next new line, right? Also, token beginning won't be equal. So token end would also have to equal null. I know I just kind of sidetracked there. These have to be equal, otherwise we won't stop lexing, I believe. Okie dokie, okie dokie. We're actually, this is good. We have to set up a compilation command. Let me just type this long bad boy out. Strimma, fun compiler. Hello? 2022. I forgot the year. Build. It's building. And it's finished. Hey, we're not terrible at code. I don't think this will work yet, but bear with me. Then I would also like to run the executable with the example. Perfect. Perfect. Invalid type equals. That's exactly what we need. So this invalid type is actually happening because we aren't parsing, as you can see, we're not parsing assignment. So we have variable declarations that look like symbol colon type, and we're not checking for symbol colon equals, which is a reassignment. We'll get there, we'll get there. So that's a good error, that's a good error. Okay, so while we're looping over comments, if we find a comment delimiter at the beginning of this token, skip to the next new line. If it doesn't exist, we found the end of the file, we're done lexing. So if last line of file is comment, we're done lexing. Moralilu says, colon equals is usually used for initialization. Why aren't you using equals? It has to do with mathematical symbols and also this little ditty right here. So while we were coming up with it on the first stream, you can actually go watch me come up with the syntax in like the first 15 minutes of the first compiler stream. And basically this allows a reassignment of a variable to just not include the type. You see how these are exactly the same, except for the declaration has a type in the middle and the reassignment has nothing. So mathematically, this symbol is like generally used as an assignment operator. That means that A is assigned to 420 and it could be then assigned to 840 and stuff like that. So it lines up more with the mathematical use, and it also allows for this little syntactical sugar where it's like, oh, these are both assignments. And they both deal with variables, so they look very similar, if that makes sense. Basically, it's just something we chose for no reason. And it also allows for, like, when you don't initialize, it allows for just this type of type annotation, which I think looks rather nice. A is an integer, B is an integer. Instead of like the C style, where you have a keyword and then a symbol. This is kind of the other way around, right? And in Pascal, I think they use the same assignment operator. So I'm used to this symbol being like reassign an existing variable. But you're right, a lot of languages use that symbol now for constant initialization to show that that like doesn't change over time. But that's actually the opposite of how it's used mostly, in my experience. Also, I downloaded an Algol 68 compiler last night when I got home. And I started reading this PDF I downloaded. It's pretty rough. Algol is pretty rough, but we're definitely going to be able to do what we need to make our end-to-end tests. So that can come at any time in the future. We can have a stream. Algol is not my favorite language. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. But we're going to write end-to-end tests in Algol. So we can do it, so we will do it. So skip actual new line byte. So this skips to the next new line. If there's not one, the last line of the file was a comment, we're done lexing. If there was a new line, we would like to set the beginning of the token, which it already is, to it. So we just need to set it just after it. And then we'll be at the beginning of the line, which I guess we don't actually have to do. We can just do this thing again. Skip to beginning, next token, after comment. But here's the thing, right? We then have to do all of this again. Yes? Does that track? Oh, God. Oh, no. Okay, so what does this conceptually do? Check for a single line of comment. Check. So check if current line is a comment, right? That's conceptually what this does. And skip past it. But here's the thing. If we have another comment on the next line, we got to do all this again. We're still not at the beginning of the next token. So how do we do that? We kind of need to have... Oh boy. Hey, Eternal Wild Fox says, good afternoon. How's it going, Eternal Wild Fox? Talking about tokens? Tokens get me excited. Eternal Wild Fox says, I am building an assembler. That's awesome for your Chip 8 project, right? In PHP? It's so exciting to see it progress. You were working on the disassembler. Nice, for the Chip 8 indeed, Eternal Wild Fox says. Yesterday you were working on the disassembler, now you're assembling. This is awesome. You must have ran out of things to disassemble and realized, well, there's only one thing to do now. Okie dokie, okie dokie. So once we do this and break out of this loop, we then want to do this again, unless there wasn't a comment, in which case we don't want to do this again. Right? Okie dokie, okie dokie. Also, that's one off. Eternal Wild Fox says the disassembler is about 80 to 90% done. What? That's awesome. That's super sweet. You're making like really fast progress, my guy. You wrote almost an entire disassembler in like one day? Are you okay? Eternal Wild Fox is truthfully eternal. He never sleeps. Alrighty, alrighty. Been streaming for about 30 minutes now. I do want to mention the Discord down below. Already of you lovely people are already in there, but if you aren't, it's down below and you can join it and we can get announcements every time I go live. We can talk to each other. We all have fun. And yeah, I really recommend it. There's also the donate button if you have an extra few dollars, you know, or whatever currency you may own. I would really appreciate if you would be ever so generous. But feel no need. All you have to do is show up and I will appreciate your presence no matter what. Alright. I think that's my spiel. Oh yeah, and the YouTube. There's the YouTube down below with all the previous VODs from Twitch. And all this code is open source on GitHub, so you can go check it out anytime. And we'll do commit and push it every once in a while. But that's amazing to hear Eternal Wild Fox is making so much progress so fast. I'm really excited to actually be able to, like, we're actually gonna have equal timing. I'm gonna be able to write code gen for the Chip 8, the assembler you're making. It's gonna be pretty sweet. Okay, so check if the current line is a comment and skip past it. But here's the thing. We have to check if current line is comment and skip past it in a loop, because multiple lines in a row may be a comment, which is a real real shit show, right? what we could do, okay, so I think to use, this will actually work. This will actually work. Okay. To not use a nested while loop within a while loop, what we can do is use a continuation. So we will have some condition, which is a comment within a comment, right? Oh, but to detect a comment, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll make a little helper for ourselves, right? Yeah, this is fine. Also, why is print token there? That doesn't make any sense. What is happening? Okay, that makes much more sense. What we're gonna do is have a little helper here. Eternal Wild Fox says, I would have figured I would need 2 weeks for the Chip 8 project, right? That seems like insanity that you have so much done so fast. It's really cool to hear. Is my thing refreshing? Let me just make sense. Make sense, make sure. All right, yes, we are doing great. We are doing great. Okie dokie, okie dokie. Comment at beginning of token. I don't think we need to change token. This is just going to be a detection. And it'll be very similar to what we had down below. It is crazy though, coding some things. It's like, I spent 3 weeks writing something that I thought would take 10 minutes. And then other things are like, I spent 10 minutes writing what I thought would take 3 weeks. So this whole thingamajiggy. Yep, that literal thingamajiggy. Eternal says, what I am doing, I disassemble and remove and test the instruction one by one in the assembler and hex dump the assembled file against the assembled file which I disassembled. Yeah, you're almost doing like machine learning. You're training your model to get more and more accurate over time. That's really cool. Not Pascal. Indeed. That's really cool. That's a really smart way to develop it too. Like, much better than just like shooting into the dark, you know what I mean? So this has to be a const. We can compare constant, not. Gnarly Quack, what's up? You were here yesterday as well. He says, hi Lenzor, hope you're doing well today, or they say. I should say. Thank you so much, Gnarly Quack. I really appreciate your kind words. I'm doing okay this morning. Gnarly Quack says, just came in at the end of your last sentence. On the flip side, you can also spend 3 weeks writing something you think would have taken you 10 minutes. Programming. Exactly. Exactly, my guy. You get it. That's how it works. Sometimes you just, time is hard, and managing it is even worse. So if this is a comment at the beginning of this token, this might be better as like is comment, but I don't know. So loop over the comment delimiter and check, okay, yes, one of these was at the beginning, which means we can call it a comment. Otherwise, don't. Return Boolean-like value. Always forget. Doxygen is great. Boolean-like value. 1 for success. 0 for failure. Sure. Time is the human curse, I feel. Oh god. Gnarly, you're absolutely right. It's what we are blessed with and cursed with. You have time during your life, but only a little bit. And you gotta spend it on what you want to spend it on. Gnarly says, I'll probably be mostly lurking, but wanted to say hi. Well, thank you for showing up and saying hi. I really appreciate that. We love lurkers around here too. They're great. I appreciate you just as well. Eternal Wild Fox says, first, I also had to research and test how to write binary files in PHP. In my 15 years, I never needed it before. Lol. You're absolutely right. Writing binary files is like, it's not often needed, but once you do need it, it's like, I can't believe I've never needed this. This is so simple. Like, I've never written actual bytes to a file. I just wrote text. It's crazy to think about. That's really cool that you're learning more about the language you've used for so long, too. It's like opening up more and more doors in what you thought was a closed room. Or may have thought. I don't want to assume your feelings, but that's the vibe I'm getting. We are having fun today. Okay, so if there's a comment at the beginning of a token, we can tell. So that will do this for us. Alrighty. Eternal says, well, I would figure that PHP would allow it. It is built on C. That's true. PHP is it's actually a very powerful language. A lot of people write it off because it's like, it looks like, it's different. It doesn't look like the other languages, but it's very powerful and useful. Gnarly Quack says, it's one of those things that once you do it, you're like, why did I think that was going to be such a big deal? Exactly. It can be scary though when you look at like hex dumps, you're like, oh shit, that looks complicated. Come on, Derpy, be nice. It's good to see you though, Derpy Sloth. How's it going? Thank you for watching the stream last night. Or my last night. It may have been your morning. I think strings basically equal bytes in PHP, just like C. Nice. That's pretty helpful. How do they deal with Unicode? Or did they not deal with Unicode? Derpy says, yo, I'm good, and you? I'm doing okay. I just woke up 45 minutes ago. Working on a compiler, so can't complain. Excuse me. Eternal says, indeed, strings are bytes. Gnarly says, they don't, basically. They don't handle Unicode. It has a multi-byte string library. Oh god. I'm getting Windows flashbacks. Stop. Windows API flashbacks. Derpy says, damn, okay, it's 6 p.m. by me right now. Yeah, it's 9 a.m. for me. But I like that time difference. It's cool that I'm broadcasting all over the world. I feel like an international man of mystery. Dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Eternal says indeed once more to Nully Quack. So Unicode is just not handled. They have multi-byte support. Probably like some Windows wchar. Terrible, terrible compiler magic, but as long as it works. So how do we ever break would be, well, we break because we don't have the comment at the beginning. This is actually not too bad. So we set up the initial token. Also, what if the beginning... If the beginning gets set to null, then we don't have to worry about it. Okay. Gnarly says PHP 6 was going to handle Unicode, but that never happened. So they jumped from PHP 5 to PHP 7. Lol. Isn't there like a fork of PHP 6 and they renamed it to Raku or something? Isn't that what happened? They like the guys that were making it, they're like, but we want to make this. And PHP was like, we're going this way. And they kind of splitted. It's probably split. Last line of file is a comment. We're done Lexing. Okie dokie. Oh, that I don't know. It's all good, all good. Okay, so now we actually have to put them in a place where we can Lex before hitting another error. You see that Lisp happen there? This is a comment. It will end at the first new line. I believe it worked, because we're getting invalid type equals just like we were before. Chat, we made comments. Heyo, Paug. We are now Lexing past comments. In not too bad of a way. There's a nested while loop within a while loop condition, which is what was confusing me earlier. I was like, wait, how am I going to do this? But functional programming helps me out. Not really functional programming. This is just procedural programming. Not yes, John. Hey, I'd just like to remind you that you're doing great. Hey, John, thank you so much. He puts a happy face and a heart after that. I really appreciate that. You made my face happy. Oh, God. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate you being here. And every one of you that are watching. Eternal says, but I would figure I'd never write chip 8 assembler and disassembler, but now I find it cool. Maybe I write more emulators. Yeah, that's awesome. You're like, I can write one, I'm gonna write 10. That's awesome. I'm really excited to follow everything you do. I really like how you think, Eternal. And I hope you make everything open source. I would love to be able to run it on my machine and look at the code. Gnarly Quack says, Facebook developed hip hop, I think it's called. It compiled PHP to C++, but it's diverged from PHP around PHP 7 and is now basically its own thing. That may be what I'm thinking of. Gnarly puts a quote, I'm gonna write emulators for my emulators. Yes. That's actually what kind of our plan is for this compiler. Our plan is to write a Lisp runtime in the compiled language. So it's like, it all comes full circle. We're emulating emulators, simulating simulations. So can we have multiple ones? This is 2. And this. And we'll even like try and confuse it. Let's see. Nope, same thing. And if we look, we could even, I'm sure, skipping past comment line. Yep, and we skip all of our comment lines. Look at us. Our streaming Lexer now skips comments. That's beautiful. That is very beautiful. I think first new line is confusing. I'm just going to put new line. All right. Thank you everybody so much for watching. We can now Lex comments. Let's document this file a little bit, right? This is a variable declaration with initialization. This is a variable reassignment. Sure. This is another variable declaration. And assignment. Eternal Wild Fox asks, are you also going to support classes? Yes, in a way. Probably more like what you would call structures. But I'm sure we're definitely going to have user-defined types available. So you're going to be able to do stuff like what you would do in C, where you have a structure and can create functions that work on that structure, and etc. At least is my idea. It may change at some point. Also, is there some like prog mode I can use for this to be better? Nope. Comment. Does anybody see anything that may be comment character? No. That's fine. Does line 9 default initialize B or is it uninitialized? Great question. So the idea is that, or at least my idea is that, I think everything that isn't assigned to but is declared will just be zeroed out. We're not going to have that C bullshit where like you make a pointer, right? Like let's say we make a pointer and it's a pointer or something. And maybe we do it like a pointer to an integer. And then you go to dereference pointer. I don't know if this is the syntax we'll use, but let's say you make a pointer to an integer and then dereference it. There's no reason that this should ever be uninitialized. This should be 0. It doesn't make sense to me. So everything is going to be zeroed out unless you explicitly assign a value. So to answer your question, there is sort of default initialization in line 9. When a declaration has no initialized value, it is 0. That's good enough for me. Alrighty. Great questions, everybody. Great questions. Thank you, Eternal Wild Fox, for the question about classes, and Gnarly Quack for the question about variable assignment. That's really helpful. This is an error. We should catch this as a variable redeclaration or redefinition. Can I fit that? Yeah. Alrighty. This is a function that returns an integer. This is a dyadic function, but this is a function with 2 integer arguments. It returns an integer. Sure. I don't actually know what to do. How do we return things? I'm trying to think of a language that is simple enough that won't screw with our syntax, or that's similar enough. And then this is a function call. So this is a function definition, right? Yeah. Okay, where do we? 71. Good enough for me. Alrighty, we really are gonna have to write a syntax highlighting for Emacs here, because I'm getting tired of looking at this. Christ. I don't know if you watch John Blow or are familiar with his language Jai, but I kind of like the idea of default initialization while also being able to explicitly not initialize a variable. When is 0 initializing a problem is my question. Because I don't think having uninitialized, like you could argue that it's faster, but I don't think it is because we can just define it differently in the executable at the beginning, like its actual space on the stack. Or we have to spend time zeroing out the stack, which is like costly, somewhat costly. I don't think it's going to be too bad. So what would our syntax look like for not initializing if we were going to do that? Like, what if we did that? Would that be okay? Like a not there or not equal? Like that could be a uninitialized. It's basically a speed optimization thing, but I'm not sure if that's an objective with this language. Definitely not an objective. It's we're not really worrying about speed or optimization, but we are you know, we don't want to just we want to allow the user to do what they want to do. We don't want to force this cost heavy thing just for no reason if we can easily implement it, like just with one little parsing change, you know what I mean? So to do, I'm gonna add that to the actual to do. Miscellaneous. Decide what the syntax is for uninitialized variables. Sure. And we'll do this. I think his syntax in Jai is he would have foo int equals dash dash dash. Nice. So he has, you basically set it to a specific value that the parser can catch. But if the language has null or nil, I feel like foo int equals nil would also be reasonable. I think we're gonna have none, so you're absolutely right. But I don't necessarily, none is gonna be its own type. Kind of like void. I guess we could have none except every type. So what if every type could have a value of none? That's not too bad. But then that would mean we have to store types differently in our AST. We'll think about it. We'll think about it. We could just also detect this specific case in the parser and just treat it as a zero initialization. Or like uninitialized, not zero initialized. Okay, we've done it. You just set it to a value that the compiler interprets as don't initialized. Yeah, I think that's very smart. We could also have a specific value the parser recognizes as uninitialized. Like, okay, a integer equals none or something. Perfect. Helps our little to-do. Okie dokie, okie dokie. Invalid type equals. Let's start working on that. This is happening because, yep, of this. This code needs to get run, which means we actually need to set. Why is this commented out? Oh, okay. Huh. Why do I have 2 copies? What am I doing wrong, chat? I'm doing something very wrong. I should not have 2 copies. What am I on? What was I even thinking? Okay, so this is a node that we've parsed. Oh, maybe we do need 2 copies. Shit. Okay, hold on. We're gonna have to think this out. I now know why I'm getting confused. So we have a node, specifically a variable declaration. Here, let's just write that out. I hate looking at var decl. So this is getting bigger so we can read. So we have a variable declaration. It has a type node for value. I guess we can just say type value. Hey, this is like that that thumbnail I made. Variable declaration, type value, and then I think it has the symbol. so that in the future... Interesting. Maybe the AST doesn't actually need the symbol. Okay. We've discovered some things. So when we're generating code, we would only need to know the symbol of a variable declaration if the parser doesn't replace symbols as variable access. So if a variable access just looks like a symbol, then we have to keep... No, we shouldn't because of our environment. The environment should actually keep track of this stuff. Interesting, interesting. We are making developments, right? So a variable declaration, when we're generating code, all that means is find somewhere to stick the length of bytes of the size of type. Oh Christ, I wrote that horribly. But when we, during CodeGen, this is kind of it. Find somewhere to stick the length of bytes of the size of type. So however many bytes type is, we need to find somewhere to stick that, whether it's a register or the stack or the heap, whatever we want. Eternal Wild Fox says, got 3 instructions, disassembling and assembling, and the math checks out. The binary is the same. Yeah, that's really sweet. I'm so proud of you, Wild Fox. Hey, Rark, R-U-A-R-Q. It is wonderful to have you. Thank you for following. I really appreciate you watching. We got a lurker. Can we get a lurk in the chat? Thank you so much for dropping in, Ruark, and following. How are you doing? Feel free to continue to lurk. Don't feel pressured to talk, but if you want, I'm here. That's really cool, Eternal Wild Fox. You have your chip 8 assembler and disassembler already like working together, and oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. And then we need to keep track of where we stick it. If I had a Lenny face queued up, I would put it there. 1.5 days in the project. That's so sweet. You have that working so fast. You have like end to end already up and running. We don't. None of this actually needs the symbol at all. The symbol is only during parsing. The actual name of a variable we can get rid of in the AST because we have our environment, which will store the symbol and its type value with some messy code without object-oriented programming, though. That's okay. Messy code is still code. So I got to answer something on the Discord. I'll just be 1 second on my phone. How are y'all doing? We've been streaming over an hour at this point. We're making some progress in the parser. Okay, then. Sure. Sent it from the wrong account, but who cares? It is clear code, straight solve to the problem, Eternal Wild Fox says. That's honestly, that's better than object-oriented in most cases. If you don't need object-oriented, there's no need to like force your program to use it. If you have simpler code without it, I think that's a win. So we never actually need the symbol. Interesting. I would suggest that's actually good code then. Yeah, Gnarly said the same thing I did. Like, maybe that's actually better. It has code duplication. That's not too bad. Those code duplication is kind of a good problem to have because it's quite easy to break duplicate code into like a function and then have 6 function calls instead of 20 lines copy and pasted over and over. You know what I mean? PHP has functions, right? I'm just messing with you. I know it does. What are they? Procedures? But yeah, don't worry about the problems your code has. Just be proud of it, because everybody's code has problems. Functions, yes. Nice. Every language calls them something different. It's like, well, one day we'll have a unified standard for like what to call things in programming. For now, it's like, you know, a function, a procedure, a lambda, a closure. And that's just the beginning. In English, like there's also other, there's so much. So my issue is that if this is our variable declaration node, oh, actually, we have a different issue. How do we do reassignments? What does a variable reassignment look like? Right? We have type value. We're going to have a node with the new value, right? Is this what we're doing? A variable reassignment with type new value? And then if we did symbol ID, I hope I get the assembler done today. That would be monumental, my guy. Don't work too fast. It's okay to take breaks and go slow. Gnarly says, well, if you can extract that duplication to a common function, then it's probably worth doing. But if you find that doing that trips you up or you're running into edge cases that you have to handle specially, it might not be as duplicated as it seems. That's true. A lot of code, you're just changing little things that completely change the semantics of the code, but it still looks similar. So it's like, well, this does something completely different, but it looks the same. But Gnarly is right. Sometimes code that isn't duplicated can look very duplicated. Variable reassignment, variable declaration. So we can declare a variable and add to parsing environment. Like parsing, for instance. Exactly. All this code looks, I basically am just doing the same things, but it's, they're just little bits of semantic difference. I could probably change all of this into a helper function, but it's not really important to. You know what I mean? All of this, I guess. I repeat that a lot. But I'd have to like figure out pointers, and it's easier for me to just do that. Have some redefinitions in nested scopes. Because C allows for that. Honestly, I could make token length like defined elsewhere, but it doesn't matter. Not Yes John says, hey, back again just to remind you that you're incredible. I'm a go again. John, you're so nice. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you for showing up. Hearts all around. We're doing good today. We're having fun. Yes, yes. This recursive call is kind of the worst. Yes, it is. Why parse expression? When we could just have a continuation and a stack. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're trying to figure out if we actually need the symbol, because we need to figure out how this node is going to be stored in the environment and such. So currently, variable reassignment. When we code gen, we need to know which variable it is, right? That's the problem. So we have this variable reassignment. And the only way that the user tells the language that, hey, I want to reassign this variable is with the symbol. But we don't actually need the symbol during codegen, just during parsing, because what we can do is have this point to the same. Okay, so what if we did like, so same type, right? But then this would be actual var decl node. So this would point to the variable declaration, which has like the whole thing itself, right? Variable declaration has type value symbol ID right now. Awesome. So when we reassign, we're going to get some new expression, right? So this is going to be new value expression or whatever. Excuse me. So this is going to be new value expression. And that could point to the same variable declaration. We don't actually need all of this. We could just point to this part, but then in CodeGen, how would we ever know? See, this is I'm confusing myself. I can tell I'm thinking in a circle, but I can't tell where. So I don't know how to solve that. But problems I don't know how to solve, I either avoid them or run head on into them. So let's try and run head on into this one and see how bad we hurt our forehead. Basically, find somewhere to stick the length of byte to the size of type. What if we just had a CodeGen context, right? I think that's actually fine. We have a CodeGen context. Then we can map symbols to wherever we store them, right? Wherever we decide to stick them. That's how we set it up above. We got to find somewhere to stick them. I kind of like that. If you have a CodeGen context, then we can map symbols to wherever we decide to stick them. Then we can just do an environment lookup in the CodeGen context to update the proper value. That doesn't seem too crazy. It also means we need symbols within the AST, because CodeGen would do its own like environment lookup. Is this awful? Is there a better way to do this? Don't you want to keep track of scope, which holds all the declared symbols? Yes, that's so. Effectively, during parsing, we do that, Gnarly Quack. You are correct. So we have this parsing context, right? And within the context, we keep track of all of our. Where is it? Where is that defined? Probably in parser.h. That's right. I forgot we split it all up. Maybe that's your CodeGen context? Okay, so this is definitely a fixed me. We're going to need a parent here. So this is our parsing context, which is our little, tells us, hey, this is what's happening. But the problem is, like, when we're parsing a function, we're going to have to add things into the context, like the variable, the parameter declarations. But we're also going to have to do that during codegen. Gnarly, it's all good. I really like when people ask questions and engage. Even if you're paying less attention to the actual code, just chatting is just fine. No need to feel sorry. So we have a parsing context that contains our variables, right? And our plan is to set within that context, that environment. Nolan is back. Hey, Nolan. He says hi. How's it going? We're still working on our compiler. We added comments, if you don't know. Already today, we have added semicolon and, I believe, hash comments. Yeah, see, we skip right past them and get to our same error we had before, where we get here and say, hey, I don't know what this is. It's probably we're saying, hey, I don't know what this is, but one of those. Nolan's is very cool. Awesome. Hell yeah. Yeah, it feels good to actually make a little progress. We have multiple types of comments. It really helps us document what's going on. Also, I should probably commit that. And the multiple line comment with, yeah, we haven't done block comments. That's different. Block comments are implemented completely differently than line comments. We did line comments today. Block comments we're still working on. Do I need any of this? I don't think I need any of that. So we moved print token, and then we just made this giant comment. Sure, we'll just do all of that. Ooh, Eternal Wild Fox reminded me that I missed one of his chats. He says, did you read my project idea? I didn't. I'll read it just after writing this commit message, okay? I'll be right there. Lexer is going to be skip semicolon and hash line comments. Comment away. And then we can push it. We did a commit, and now we can do a push it. And now, if you check the GitHub, all this code is live. Woohoo! Okay, so Eternal Wild Fox says, maybe my next project is an RDMS system written in PHP, meaning a SQL engine / file storage. Now I know how to write binary file in PHP. That would be a cool project, lol. You mean a relational database? Yes, relational. That would be pretty cool. So you could have like your own. What's your plan to, what are you gonna map to what? Like what data are you gonna use it on? Very basic SQL statements. Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. So you're gonna have like that's pretty cool. Like a database managing program. That's pretty powerful. I like that. It's almost like you could even have it output to like JSON or something. Not that it would be helpful, but you could. Really an engine. Nice. So basically an API that people could use to use databases. Not an administration program, lol. What you're going to do is map people's names to their social security numbers. Now just enter them in these two boxes. Yeah. So here's the thing. we have, okay, this is another thing. We have an AST, but then we also have an environment. Right, which let's say it has variables is what we're looking at. And then variables, if we add this var decal, right, that would work. But this is a copy. So the environment either doesn't own it. And also, this is needs to be this. There's a symbol ID mapped to it, right? I guess this would technically be like one child, a binding. Doesn't matter. PHP might be too slow to develop a production quality database, but for learning it sounds like a great idea to me. Yeah, it's not going to be like, you're not going to be doing 10,000 database changes per second, but it's going to work just fine. YouTube couldn't use it, but any hobbyist would probably be fine with it for quite a while. So the problem is, if this binding just stores symbol ID and variable declaration, right? This variable declaration also has the symbol ID, so we kind of don't need that. We just need its type and its value. But these, like, which one of these owns these? Or do we copy them, right? Hobby project, exactly. Tree Mosher. Did somebody say database? Yes, me, Wild Fox says. What's up, Tree Mosher? How's it going? How are you doing today? I think that's your first chat today, right? If I remember. Yeah, I don't see you when I scroll up. How are you doing, Tree Mosher? Thank you so much for coming back. We appreciate having you. Okay. So we have an environment, there's variables, and there's a binding to a symbol ID and a type value. This seems like it makes sense. Because then we need to check the environment and find symbols so that we know this. Tree Musher says, doing okay, boss. How you doing? Speaking of database, deciding whether to have a productive day or not. You always got to decide to have a productive day or not. Every morning you wake up, you go, am I going to do shit today? Most of the time I go, nah, I'm going to just do what I want. And for that reason, I'm poor. But also for that reason, I get to smile a lot more. So I think it's worth it. Plus, me doing what I want is also hard work. It's productive. It's just not productive for other people necessarily. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We are working on this parser, kind of getting through some conceptual problems with our symbol table, or effectively our environment, which holds our symbol table, and our AST. They're kind of housing the same data. So why do we need to store both? Like, is there a way a variable declaration can be simplified in that it doesn't need this at all? Right? So the idea, I guess the idea would be that this parsing context is kind of created as we go. Like it's streamed effectively. For each expression we parse, the context may be altered, and any following expression may rely upon that altered context. It's kind of like a monad, honestly. Hey, first time chat, what up? That's our first time chat for today. How's it going, good Mallard? That's a good duck right there. He asks, what code editor is this? And Tree Mashra says, here we go. This is Emacs. If, I don't even know if I have the initial window open. Good Mallard says, hi, how's it going? How are you today? Thank you for tuning in to this compiler work. This text editor is Emacs, though, and it's a theme I wrote in Lisp, and it's, yeah. If you don't know what Emacs is, it's like from 50 years ago. People at the MIT AI Research Lab were like, hey, we're using this text editor on this computer, and now they're like saying we can't use it and it's proprietary. So they're like, well, let's make our own. And then everybody made their own, and they called it Emacs, editor macros. And it's beautiful. It's got a built-in Lisp runtime. It's a lot of fun. It definitely requires a lot of doing, though. So we can definitely simplify this. Does anybody see an easy simplification we can make? We have this environment that's built as we go. Gnarly says, can't say I've written a compiler before, but I feel like your scope object would essentially be a mapping of variable name type value. Yes, that's exactly what this is right here. This variables environment. You're absolutely right, Gnarly Quack. So this variables environment is binding a symbol, each binding, so there can be any amount in this environment. Each binding can be a symbol to a type, right? Tree Mosher says, it's a really cool text editor, all for the cozy price of time and effort. That's exactly right, Tree Mosher. If you're willing to spend 8 hours getting all the colors just right, getting the line numbers on the left to not like bounce in and out when you scroll, there's all sorts of things you can change, right? But you can also set it like indentation is amazing in Emacs with Tree Sitter. It's really cool. So it definitely takes some time to configure, but once you have it set up, it's very nice. And I can take like research notes really well with org capture. Have a whole custom system. It's very cool. Recommend Emacs or Vim if you're into modal editing. So, Gnarly Quack, what's the difference between a variable name and a symbol? Conceptually, none in this case. But like, so if it's tripping you up, just think of symbol as variable name. Don't worry about that. Symbol is the type, and the actual variable name is in the identifier, the variable identifier. Hey, we got another lurker. Follow. How's it going? Adelicio001 followed. Thank you so much for the follow. I've been streaming for about an hour and a half. I think it's a good time to do a little spiel. Down below, we got the Discord. You can go there, and I make announcements every time I go live, and we all talk to each other. It's a lot of fun, and we're all here for each other. Look at all of us. It's amazing. But yeah, I really recommend joining the Discord. There's the donate button down below if you have a few dollars, of course. I don't want to beg, but I am on my knees with my hands together, clasped, so take with that what you will. Don't give me your money. If you need the money, you keep it. And there's a YouTube down below if you want to check out the previous VODs, if you want to see how we got to this code that we're at right now. Everything is open source on GitHub. You can go check that out too. Star these projects. Follow them there, even if I stop streaming. Okay, so I think that's done. The spiel is done. Now, we have Tree Musher. It's real cool. Okay, Gnarly Quack. What's the difference between a variable name and a symbol? I read that. That's right. But yeah, symbol is basically, if we take a look at parser.h, node. So see, we have node types, and a node has a type, and the type is of symbol, and a symbol typed node has a value of a string symbol. And this is actually the data where the variable name is stored, if that makes sense. Right? So this mapping here is of variable names to their type and their value. So do we ever actually need in the variable declaration their type and their value, right? Do we need that? Because we're just building this node, this abstract syntax tree. We're only building it for the explicit case that we're going to generate code from it, right? We're not doing anything else with this abstract syntax tree. So during code gen, we need the type and the value, but we also yes, okay. So for reassignments during code gen, we do need the symbol, right? Is that what we just figured out? I think that's what we figured out. For reassignments during code gen, we need the symbol. Because otherwise, we're generating code, we get to a type and a value that we would like to, for example, reassign. We have this new value expression, this type value. And it would have to point, I think, just to the symbol, right? Have its own symbol copy or something. And let's see, what would this allow for? So this also would mean a declaration could also just become a symbol, right? Oh, first time chat. What's up? Adelicio001 says, awesome, glad for the words, cheers from Brazil. That's awesome. Always wanted to know how the internals for compilers works. The internals of compilers works. Nice, he corrected himself, clarified, I should say. Yeah, Adelicio, that's really cool. You've always been interested in this. And it's cool that we get people from all over the world. We got Brazil, we got Europe, we got Asia, we got everybody in here. And we're all friends. It's so awesome. Thank you for coming out and chatting. I really appreciate your chat. Your first time chat. Heyo. Gnarly Quack says, I'd say yes, but also maybe write the code and see what happens. Lamau. Good idea. So effectively, we're still going to need symbol copy. We're still going to need to copy the symbol at least, right? Because I don't think we needed this for a variable. I think this is what we need for a variable declaration in the AST. Don't forget Merc. That's right. Our Merkins. We gotta mention ourselves everywhere we can. Our Merkins were in here. We got America. We got South America. We got from Brazil. We got, let's see, we got Asia, I'm pretty sure. And we have Europe. We are doing great. He puts the lol. Gnarly with the lol. How is everybody doing? For me, it is a fine morning, but for you, it may be a fine afternoon. Okay. Add to parsing context variables environment. So we're not going to save it in the AST. We're going to save the type and value in the environment, right? Or a fine evening, exactly. Morning, afternoon, evening. Why is it never... So morning is just before noon. But then there's afternoon and evening. Why is the night split up into two things? Good Mallard says 7 p.m. here, but feels like morning because just woke up. Lamal, I get you. I like that schedule. That's the true programmer schedule, really. If you're just you're like, I wake up whenever, work on some code, go back to bed, have some breakfast at 7 p.m., make some dinner around 3 a.m. All right. Good Mallard. Good Mallard says, spend the entire night Googling how to fix sleeping schedule, right? Gnarly says, afternoon is afternoon. Night is from dusk till dawn. That's what I say anyway. That's fair. That's fair. So night and day would be separates for you. But we don't say before noon is why I'm a little peeved. Like if there was morning, before noon, afternoon, and evening, it wouldn't bother me. Right? But it's like, oh, it's morning, afternoon, and evening. It's like you split the second half of the day into two things, but the morning's only one. This is odd. But I get that people are only up 16 hours and they broke them up into like 6-hour chunks. Okay, I gotta write code. I'm getting distracted. So we create a variable declaration, but we don't want to store that in the environment. We just want the type and value. And in the variable declaration, do we even need the type and value? Like, what is that for? I think the type and value can stay in the environment. So then in the future, when we parse, for example, a reassignment, and we get a symbol, we can look it up and say, hey, do we have this symbol? And if we do, then we know its type and value. Oh yeah, good point. Never thought of it that way. English, lol. Gnarly, you are right. English is like, they kind of just make it up as they go. It's definitely just made up. So we just have to copy the symbol now. The type value can be owned. Yeah. So the type value, I keep saying type value like that's a thing. I'm just saying the pair, like the singular node that refers to the node that refers to the type and value of the variable binding. Like it's, there's not English for this that lets me say it concise. So I just say type value. So this type value is going to be owned by the environment completely. And that is this type node. Yes. So now we have type node. And we have type node is still able to be updated with an initialized value. Only literals for now. That's fine. This is going to be the worst compiler. I'm not confident. It's going to be great. No, it's going to be great. It's going to be fine. So basically, once we have our type node, so we say result equals variable declaration. That's what goes into our AST. But before we do that, before we return, yeah, that makes sense. So the contents, so it's hollow shell. Yes. Before we return, we would like to set in the environment. I believe they use pointers verbatim. We go check environment. Oh, Christ. Where is it? It's here. Okay, it doesn't say. So we don't do any copying, quite clearly. So this means that effectively we just need to pass in the proper ID and value. Whoops, what did I just do? There we go. So the ID symbol has already been added as a child. So symbol is now owned by vardeckle. So now we need to copy symbol. So we're still going to have to write a node copy. We'll go write it. Sure. Where should we do it? Probably here. Node copy. This is literally just going to be a simple copy. We're just going to go A into B. I don't know if we need to use this outside of the parser, so it's going to stay here. Copy node. Copy A into B. Literally. So this will literally just be a mem copy into B from A, size of node, not A or not B, return 0. And we're just gonna return nothing. I think that's fine. So copy A into B literally. Then we would also like a deep copy. Sorry, there might be some loud sounds. And this is going to be a little complicated, right? All we're going to have to do is say, so this is effectively just saying one equals the other. That's not really that useful. But the deep copy, we want to say that we kind of, see, we don't want to do this either. Oh man, I'm getting so ahead of myself. So now B value should equal A value copied, right? So we're going to have to switch on A.type. We can just say B type. So yeah, we're just going to do this. B type equals A type. Based on what happens, sure. Node type none, all that has to match is the type. None only ever has one value. I think you're putting that in the wrong copy function. I am not. So I realized that this literal copy was the same as just doing with the 2 pointers, star A equals star B. Like that does mem copy under the hood. So what I'm going to do is actually make the value itself of the node, wherever that is. So I'm going to copy these into their own node, if that makes sense. Which works if it's an integer, but if it's a symbol, we have to copy the symbol specifically. So maybe default, we just do nothing. You have a good point. And then we could do case node type symbol, because we allocate memory for those. And we could say B value is equal to for deep A value dot symbol. So instead of copying the pointer directly, here, and I think we can just do that. So handle all allocated values here. That way we don't have 2 nodes that point to the same string on the heap in there, because then when we try and free them all, we'll have a use after free issue. So this should get integers and all actual values and pointers and stuff, but we don't want to copy pointers. We want to create a new pointer and use that. We could probably do something like assert bValue.symbol. Yeah, we'll do something like that. I think that doesn't, that's not too crazy. So if we have a symbol copying into B, B will get the type symbol, and then that, and then, okay. Copy A into B. We're just gonna have this be a deep copy. So we need to get node pointer child equals a children. And then we need to say for each child, do this thing, right? Let's think about this. So we're going to call this on A. Let's say A has 2 children and it's a variable declaration or whatever. For each child, we would like to say while it exists, go through all the children. So for every child, can we just call node copy? We're going to have to node allocate new child, right? And we could copy into new child from child. And then we could say so here's the thing. Even on the first one, we have to allocate a new one, but then we have to set child iterator. Sure, these are terrible names. So first, we want to overwrite children. Gnarly says, once again, it's about 12:30, now I've got to go get breakfast. So I'm going to step away and maybe continue lurking. Take care. Thank you so much for coming out, Gnarly Quack. I really appreciate you coming, and have a good breakfast. That's awesome. Thank you so much for staying as long as possible. That's so cool. Derpy says, variable names are always the hardest. Exactly. Lol. We're having a good time. All right, so we have... Yes, it's me. We have a child together, me and you. Here's what we'll do. We'll say if child iterator next child equals new child. Yes. What are the 3 hard problems in programming? Naming things and off by 1 errors? That's really funny. It's true. Off by 1 errors are terrible. They're terrible, terrible things. I think I can do this. Then I can say, yeah, see, I still have to do this. I think that makes sense. Okay, so we're building B. By dereferencing it here, we set children. And then by dereferencing the child, we set the next child. Okay. So this does look insane, but I think it'll actually work. So for every child, we will have a new child allocated, and then we will copy from the child into the new child, which will also copy all of its children and such. And after doing that, we have to have new child actually set So what we could do, actually, here's what's kind of confusing about this. If we set new child here, we don't have to do this. See how that works? Okay, so now child iterator equals new child. And if there already is a child iterator, then the next child is equal to the new allocated child. And child iterator is equal to child iterator next child. So now new child will be written into, and next time around everything should be hunky-dory. Okay, hopefully this does not break things, because I don't know if this will work at all. This is crazy code. Node copy. We need to do that somewhere, right? So the idea is that we have a symbol. Okay, so we're gonna have to do node symbol for environment equals node copy symbol. Oops, nope, equals node allocate. What am I doing? And then I can node copy symbol into symbol for environment. Perfect. There should probably be a failure case there, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, so now that we copy this node, hopefully we can use it to bind it as an ID, and then this will be type node. So now type value is owned by the environment. Symbol gets copied for both the AST and in the environment. Derpy says, trying to think of a project idea has to be one of the hardest things ever. It can be. I personally have like 20 project ideas at all times that I'm like, I have no time. I have so much to do and so little time. Okay, I think this isn't too crazy. How crazy is it? It's apparently not that great. So AST gains variable declaration node. Context variables environment gains new binding. Is that right? So if there's not an equal here, what is that? Okay, okay. So if we get a reassignment, I think I'm doing reassignments very wrong, but that's okay. We can fix that. Probably not today. I don't have time today, but we can fix that eventually. I think we already do this. I don't know. Let's go through this whole control flow just so my brain stops breaking. We lex a token. We try and parse an integer from that token, and if we do, we should check ahead for valid integer operators. For now, we just return the integer? No? Yeah, result gets set in parse integer. So if result gets set to integer, what happens after this else? We say intermediate node. I don't think that's right. think this should be return OK. Personally. It doesn't help anything, but I do think that's what that should be like. Else, we don't really need this else because we return here after parsing an integer successfully. So we can probably remove this else. Okay. We're supposed to check for unary prefix operators. So if it's not an integer, it could be like the minus dash, right? And then an integer. So we should check for that and then loop again. We should check that it isn't a binary operator because that would be an error, and we don't want to define a variable with the same name as a binary operator. That would really confuse things. So then we create a symbol from the current token. So if it's not an integer and it's not these things, we call it a symbol. As we add more types, less and less things will be symbols. That makes sense. I don't think we ever need to return a symbol directly, do we? There should never be a symbol directly returned, because what do we do with a symbol in CodeGen? We're like, okay, cool, a name. We don't need it. So to do, we're probably doing some of this. Check if valid symbol for variable environment. So if the symbol can go in the variable environment, I think that's what I was saying. Like, make sure the symbol doesn't contain bad characters. But that's kind of what Lexing does. So we're kind of good there. Then attempt to pattern match variable access, assignment, declaration, or declaration with initialization. Okay. Let's go through this. We have a symbol, and we would like to check for a colon afterwards, right? I'm sure that's our first thing to check, because that happens in quite a few scenarios. Symbol colon. And symbol colon is detected right here. We lex the next token, and we check if it's a colon. Alrighty. Lex is, so after getting the colon, we say, okay, what's next? We should check for variable reassignment after the colon, which we do, right? That's what this is. Check for variable reassignment. And see, this literally says the same thing here. This is a terrible comment. Check for variable reassignment. If it's not that, ID of redefined variable. That's not the best error, because this may not be a valid type. So to do, have error for unrecognized type first. All right. So expected type symbol is this. Why is that? What? So after getting the colon, we lex the next thing, and then we say create a variable binding. What is that? So that's the binding that we get from the environment. Okay. So this should just be like type value type thing now, right? Anyways, we get that. And if there's not an equals after it, but it already exists. So let's just say found existing symbol in environment. Sure. We still have invalid type equals. I think I'm starting to understand why. So we Lex, do we ever free the variable binding? That's a problem. Also, don't we need to actually get... Let's see. Variable binding. I think we just need to do that. Alrighty. So this invalid type is coming from right here, which means that we are getting an equals, but this is not true. Right? So we are saying looking for an environment. Sure. And is... Sorry if that's loud for you guys, by the way. It's loud for me as well. It's not that symbol. Value symbol. Whoa. What just happened? How'd I end up in standard IO? Wit? Okay. No clue how that just happened. Program. So we have looking for A in variables environment, looking for A in variables environment. So then we should have a setting A in variables environment at some point, hopefully. I don't know what this is. I'm not there yet. I'm getting there. Set blah in variables environment. Symbol for n. See, we never set. So why do we never set? What happens? I guess we get stuck here. Do we not? How does that work? So we should have a type. We do this. We should look for if it's already an environment, if it's already a thing, right? Then we found existing symbol. Coolio. With this existing symbol in the environment, we never actually find that. So if we don't do that, we're looking for A, pop to the next one. We free the variable binding because we allocate the variable binding. Expected type symbol equals the current token. Oddly enough, shouldn't this be the type? Not the next time around. So I see. So we get through it once and it is the type. Let's say. Valid type. Symbol. Sure. We're just going to have printf statements everywhere. That's how you fix programs, right? You add printfs. Value symbol. Valid type symbol integer. Wonderful. So integer is now our type. Symbol. Right? So the type node refers to the type of result, because environment get gets the type value of the binding. So result type refers to the type. That's accurate. So we get this binding within result. And we say invalid type if it doesn't work. So then we say valid type symbol. What happens after this? If string equals equals, okay, so what's happening? Found initialized variable. Sure. Yes. So we are here. And then we parse into assigned expression. So let's do this. I'm kind of just shooting in the dark at this point, but we'll get there. See, we never get to assigned expression. That's interesting. We're breaking somewhere here. So we're not getting a token length break. So I presume we are getting an error in Lexing. Hi, Mom. Let's put that error. Okay, it's not a hi, Mom. But we are here. Wit. Okay. So I think you should remake compiler in Scratch. Derpy Sloth. Yes. We'll click all those blocks together. It'll be great. So we get to made it. So we get an error trying to get this expression. Lol. Derpy Sloth hits us with the lol lol lol. Lamau. So this is broken. Why this broken? So current token end. So let's just do like end of assigned expression or something. I know this is dumb. Just comment out the error. Simple. Hello made it. Still nothing. Ah, ha, 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 ha. So we say, hello, made it. Wait, but then we never say error? What? What? Does anybody know what's going on? So we call parse expression into assigned expression and allocated node, because after an equals, we parsed into the current token. So do we not need to do that? Is that commenting out the error? I just like looking at all the cool colors. Me too. I chose it. I took a long time to pick these colors. I have no sound. Good Mallard says he has no sound. Derpy, can you still hear me? Because I'm pretty sure we still have sound. If not, here, let me check. I can still hear myself, right? I can still hear myself, right? I can still hear myself. It's just you, Good Mallard. Think you're gonna need a reconnect or something? Derpy says I can hear you. That's awesome. We are doing all good. Hopefully he can get that resolved. I hate technical issues. So let's, instead of trying that, try this same thing. Whoops, whoops. Oh, wonderful. Yes. That was good. Good Mallard says, yeah, it's me. Headphones were empty. RIP. I'm glad you could get it resolved, hopefully. Yes. So we can get an integer. But something is going wrong in the following code because it does not go right. If the type does not equal the type, well, we have a type error. That's kind of clear. That also means we can completely free the assigned expression. It's unused. In this case, we can, yeah, see, we already did it. Look at us. So the problem, now that we have int 69, what is current token? Right? There's our issue. What? Okay. Okay, what? So we have an assigned expression. We parsed it correctly. But then current token is equal to some funky stuff. Guess this can just be null. So that makes it just equals. So we need to set the beginning of the token to the end. Is that correct? Am I being very wrong? Nearly. I'm one off. How am I one off? When I'm parsing an integer, am I lexing one too many? I lex once. Yep, I'm Lexing one too many. Look at us. That would be a to-do. Derpy asks a very an amazing question. Derpy Sloth 123 says, "What happens if you enter a roundabout and keep turning left in the roundabout and you never leave the roundabout? Can the police arrest you or do anything to you?" So if you stay going the speed limit within the roundabout, I don't think you're actually committing a crime. You're able to drive on the road, but the police will stop you if you are being reckless. So if you're trying to stay in the roundabout so much so that you're like nearly running into people, they'll get you for reckless driving, right? But if not, if you just kind of slowly go in circles, let people in, go around people, not become a danger to anybody, I think you just be there forever. Just like an Omega lol. You just chill with some music on. What if I'm in the roundabout for 13 hours? That's on you. That what if is on you. It's like, well, you can be. If one really wants to be, they can be. Okay, this exit. Hey, look, we had giant issues. Great. Heap corruption, most likely. Then you lost a fortune on gas. Good Mallard, you know what's up. Like, you drove for 13 hours straight. You're gonna have no gas. Lamau. Can I make it here? We can make it there. Something breaks, though. So we do get to here. That's a good sign. Also, this should be here. So that can return okay. But up here, are we doing something wrong? When we get here? We're probably doing something wrong again. Yeah, we're doing the same thing wrong again. Look at us. It didn't help, but hey, we're doing the same thing wrong again. So after the equals, we would like to parse an expression. I think I did. Yes. I don't actually end up using new end. Okay, that didn't help either. Awesome. Thank you so much. Gnarly. Talking about roundabouts remind me of that scene from European Vacation. Absolutely. They can never get out. I forgot about that. Isn't that the holiday special, like the Christmas one, National Lampoon's Holiday Vacation in Europe? That's the one in Europe where they visit the Stonehenge. Yeah. Oh yeah, European Vacation. That's what you said. Yeah. It's so good. Chevy Chase is funny. What does this even mean? To do have error for unrecognized type first. Okay, so check that type is actually valid before the definition error. Yeah, European Vacation was the second one. Nice. I think the first one that's with like the Christmas lights at his house. Well, all of them they did that, but you know what I mean. So if we're not getting there, we got to be doing something wrong in here. Okay. Vacation, where they go to Wally World, was the first one. That's right. Christmas Vacation was the third one. Thank you so much, Gnarly. Hitting me with that movie knowledge. That's from so long ago. I don't even I don't even know when. Why is so much stuff printed out? What happened here? Right? A lot of things are printed out that don't seem like they should be. What is this? Why is this printed out? Gnarly says, when you get to my age, you know some things, lol. Only if you can remember them. So, the reassign expression has to match type. We use its value, then we free it. So we get an equals. So current token end. Why can't this be end? Am I crazy? Hey, look, I'm missing a new line. Hey, look, what's happening? Okay, so a lot of stuff is being printed out that I don't quite know why. I'd love to know why. We print the current token, the valid type symbol. Yeah, I have no idea what is printing out so much stuff. Is that in like main.c where we call the parser? It is, okay. Well, that's less. There's still some stuff here that, what is this? Okay, so now somewhere in the parser, we're still printing stuff out. Intermediate nodes make sense. Unrecognized tokens, definitely print those out. Assigned expression and the token. We have valid type symbol, invalid type, ID of redefined variable. Print node of the reassign expression. But there's no actual, like, print. We never just print the program. So it's kind of confusing why this output is showing up when we run it. I've forgotten more than I know, Gnarly says. That's right. It's probably true. So we can look for A. We get assigned expression. And then current token just prints everything. How does print token work? So if this is negative, I'm sure we are severely lacking. What are these? So if this is less than 1, then say invalid token pointers. Sure. Otherwise, do your regular thing, whatever. Yeah. So what's happening is beginning is set to after end. Good Mallard asks, what theme is this? This is a theme I wrote in Emacs Lisp. It's called the Lensor theme. If we take a look at it, here it is. It's not too complicated. It just sets a bunch of different colors. Ooh, look at all those terrible trailing white spaces. It's awful. Yuck. Get out. Yikes. But yeah, this, I'm working on getting my whole Emacs config in a, like, all in one place. I kind of had things split up. So now, I'm slowly getting things back together. But yeah, if you have any specific questions about colors, they're here. And then it's just a case of assigning different things to those colors. Alrighty. But yeah, that's one of the best things about Emacs is you can do custom things. We get a big error. So we have invalid token pointers. Blah. Alrighty. So with invalid token pointers, where are we actually seeing that from? Here. Okay. Can this be end? We just have to set the beginning of the current token as well as the end. So the current token beginning will be updated, right? That's kind of how that works. Or is it not? That's not how that works because we are parsing, so we don't deal with tokens on that level actually. So it seems like what we are actually going to do is have to refactor a little bit maybe? I don't know. Let's think about this. So we have a current token which points to something like that. Equals. Or whatever. I don't think it even has a type. We just check that it actually equals that. So it's not a symbol or anything. It just equals. So we would like to look after current token or next token. Right. Effectively this. But the issue is that we don't necessarily keep track of that. So we parse starting at the end of the token, and we say rewrite over that same variable when you write the end of the next token. Sounds logical, doesn't it? So parse integer, do we update? Parse integer doesn't lex anything, so we never have to update as long as we do it here. Okay. Okay. And the issue, so we update the end. Am I in the wrong spot? I feel like I'm in the wrong spot. Yeah. So the issue is the end then gets set to the end, but we don't actually chop this off, right? We don't set the next beginning. But here's the thing, do we need to? Current token. Is it ever even used? Right? We just return. We're going to return here. Unless we error. So effectively, I believe, I'm going so slow through all this. I'm so sorry, everybody. I feel like this is so boring. I'm just like talking out loud, trying to figure out how this shit works. That I wrote. Oh, Christ. Also, I repeated my printf here. Isn't that funny? I'll just delete that one, because that one's more concise. Check for variable redefinition. I think we already do that, right? That's how this whole thing works. Redefine variables here. So we already do that. We lex the next thing and see if it's equals. It'd be great if we could like not do a lex unless something matches, like do an advance or an expect. That's not a bad idea. In any case, we will continue. So then we parse the next thing. We set the end. So then, because we set the end here, what if we just wrote into the end, actually? It's not actually used. See, current token would not get updated. Good Mallard asks, with what finger do you press Control with on your keyboard? That's a very intricate question. I like it. Thank you, Good Mallard, for being so curious. I rebind. Here, let me see if I can get it. Could I open? Could I just show the script? Okay. Perfect. Good enough. All right. So if you see this, it's a little small. I'll make it bigger. This is my auto hotkey script, and it rebinds caps lock to control. I have this running at all times. Heyo, what did I just hit? Windows. I have this running at all times. So I hit caps lock just to the left of the A key with my pinky on my left hand. And that is bound to control. So my pinky is kind of just holding down control, and the rest of my hand can move around freely on the keyboard. Thanks for that very in-depth question, Good Mallard. Awesome, awesome. So what we actually need is to update the end. So if we now... Nope, still some big issues, but hey, we're getting there. Maybe I need to do the same thing here. Wait, that's genius. It's not genius, it's just, I was actually recommended to me by Flykeys, I believe. Because caps lock is useless. Yeah, nobody... Who uses caps lock on a desktop keyboard? So you don't use caps lock then? Not once in my life have I used caps lock on a desktop. It's pretty much always been rebound to something. Either like, I use caps lock. You do, Gnarly? I'm actually curious. What do you use caps lock for? Do you write in all caps? Or do you have a different typing style where you don't use like home row? So when we have this, things break. When we don't have that, things don't break. So by updating end like this, we can properly do things. This is pretty good. Pretty good. Good Mallard says, why not just press shift? No judgment, just curious. Gnarly responds with, writing something like error prep seems easier, quicker if I hit the caps lock a couple times rather than swapping between shift keys. Interesting. So I see what you're saying. When I write it, I just hold down left shift and I just have it held down the whole time when I write all caps. So my left pinky is holding down shift at all times to type these all caps. I never actually swap shifts unless I use like, unless I'm typing a capital. Like when I'm typing this, I'll use left shift and T, but when I'm typing like rotten, I would use right shift and T, or right shift and R, excuse me. ERR needs shift pressed with the right pinky. It doesn't need it, but it should be. Then O needs shift pressed with left shift, then back with R. Why? Why not just use one shift for all of it, my dude? Because I hold left, here, I'm holding left shift, and then I type error prep with the rest of my hands. My right hand writes only the P's, right? And the underscore. The O, the underscore, and the P's. Everything else my left hand does. But yeah, I only press shift once, and then let it go at the very end with my left pinky. We're getting into like typing semantics. This is awesome. That's true. That's how they teach home row, but I don't do it either. So I still use the home row like swap left shift, right shift when I'm typing regularly. Gnarly says he's inclined to swap shifts, and that's probably better ergonomics. You know what I mean? That's better for your hands. Even though you're pressing more buttons, you're not stretching your hands in odd ways. And I'm actually planning, if I can afford it, keyboards are expensive, but I want to get a custom keyboard. I honestly only learned touch typing a couple years ago, so maybe I'm just being too strict. I don't think so. To be fair, I've learned typing since like I was 3 years old, so we have very different perspectives in that case, right? You have like an entire life of language and letters and writing, and then you had to learn a computer, or you had a whole life of like typing and having your own style, and then somebody going, no, do it this way instead. What size keyboard do you have? Currently I have a 104 key layout. So I have a 10 key, and my 10 key has like the arrow keys embedded within it. And then I have all the regular QWERTY layout, staggered layout with number keys, all the symbols. Basically the standard American QWERTY layout is what I have, but with the arrow keys embedded into the 10 key. The numpad. Use numpad a lot? I do use numpad a lot, not while programming, but while using the computer for other things like spreadsheets or typing like dollar values. I always end up using the numpad. Gnarly says, I was able to type pretty quickly and I wasn't hunt and peck, but just didn't learn correct touch typing. Nice. So you came at it from a perspective where you learned your own way and then somebody said, hey, do it this way instead, which is pretty tough. For me, I've like, touch typing was the only way that people ever said to do it since I was young. Like my dad taught me how to touch type when I was 3 years old while I was sitting on his lap at his work. So I definitely have a different experience where touch typing is ingrained into me. When I decided to learn Vim, I decided to learn touch typing. This is gnarly, by the way, because I figured the effectiveness of Vim was based on typing correctly. You're fairly correct. Having your fingers on HJKL, or JKL semicolon, having them right next to HJKL really helps. I still don't get why it's HJKL and not JKL semicolon in Vim, but you know. It's whatever. So we now parse. Okay, it's already past 11. Quite some time. I'm gonna have to get going here fairly soon. Probably in 10, 15 minutes. Maybe less, 5 minutes. Depending on how many people scream at me. But I really appreciate everyone for coming out. And we had so much fun today. We made progress. I'll try and get this committed to Git very soon. Maybe remove all these unnecessary lexing that is commented out. Perfect. I think we do that. Alrighty. We can remove this else. I know that. We should have figured out where it goes first. So we have return error else. So let's look for valid type symbol. Yep, perfect. Now, can just go way down. Perfect, much better. Okie dokie, where else? I think we had another one of those. Yeah, here. So where does this go? Intermediate node. Okay, so we're just gonna do that. Does that make sense? So we have a while loop, but the while loop just returns? I think I did that wrong, I'm scared. If parse integer, else. Yeah, see, I removed the one after instead of the one before. I was like, it don't make sense. No, but that still doesn't make sense, because then we could never get here. So this should technically not be an else. Because we should be able to fail somewhere in here or continue. Effectively, we should have an else if. Oh, I missed some chats. Gnarly says, every programmer should write their own editor anyway. Absolutely. Oh, we have a new follow. Good Mallard. Thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. You got us up to 32. That means we're only 18 away from becoming a Twitch affiliate. We already have the average viewers. It's amazing. We're so close. We're so close. Thank you, Mallard. I really appreciate it. You've been a lot of fun in chat today. I appreciate you being here. Be sure to check out the Discord down below if you want to come hang out, make some friends, and be notified every time I go live. Okay, now Eternal Wild or Gnarly says, you've given me something to think about with caps lock, ... Definitely. That would be really cool, Gnarly. It just helps my pinky not be so scrunched up hitting the bottom left of the keyboard all the time. But it's not as big of a problem if you use a more ergonomic keyboard, not one of the staggered layout American QWERTY ones. Eternal Wild Fox says, else if tokens at 0 equals round, opcode equals OXC000, if tokens at 1 at 0 equals V, opcode or equals hexadecimal substring of tokens of 1 byte of which, bit shifted to the left 8. And then file, pack, and opcode. Ooh! That's that dot equals. That's cool. Isn't it fun? Eternal Wild Fox, that is amazing. So you're bit shifting a hexadecimal character? Like, I don't even know. Good Mallard says, I'm definitely rebinding caps. That's cool to hear, Good Mallard. It's a good idea. I think a lot of people don't realize that your keyboard is, you can just use it however you want. Eternal says, I will be a bitwise shifting genius after this Chip 8 project. Yes, you will. I think you already are one for making the Chip 8 project, in my opinion. Gnarly says, it doesn't help that my keyboard's caps key is janky, so it's usually a thorn in my side. I know, I hate when keyboards are like, they're perfect except for that one key that gets stuck every once in a while, and it sucks. Gnarly says, come back when you can do an in-place rotate / Lamau. Good Mallard says, well, I'll do that. Adelicio001 says, Vimming things could be a UX standard. That's right. So this should be an else if. I believe. I don't know. Because we're going to have to do continuations, but maybe we'll only ever call continue with our continuations. Sure. Why not? Fuck it, right? Does it still work? It don't. We broke something. Okay, let's define token length somewhere else then. Why not? So now we can just replace the string size t token length with just token length. Hey, look. Look, Mom, look, Dad, we did it. Hooray. Alrighty. So now, top level parsing. Let's just go through what this does. Alrighty. I thought parse expression was lower down, further up than that. Ship it! We has a language! Gnarly Quack, you're right. It's ready. It's done. Tell the boss. Oh. It's so good. If I showed this to like any professional developer, like, yeah, look at this compiler, they would just laugh. Like, this is not good. What did you do? Isn't that literally what this... Okay, yeah, sure. Okay. We're getting better. So we lex a token. If it's an integer, we return it. For now, we just return integers. We don't look ahead for operators or anything yet. We just get an integer. If it's not an integer, we go, hey, that's a symbol. We don't know what that is. In the future, to do, or strings and other types. Yo. Most programmers don't even know how to write a compiler, to be honest. Eternal Wildfox says. See, it's times like this I'm reminded of the what is it, the Dunning-Kruger effect or something? Is that what it is? Where like the smarter you get, or the better you get at something, the worse you think you are? Yeah, yeah. So here, let me try and open this in a better browser. The Dunning-Kruger effect is the fact that based on your competence, you, if you have a, what is this? I don't even know what this says. Why is there 2 lines? We have perceived and actual. Okay, now it makes sense. I didn't see the key or the legend. I was like, thought I had to look somewhere else. So is this their own score? relation between average self-perceived performance and average actual performance on a college exam. The red area shows the tendency of low performers to overestimate their abilities. Nevertheless, low performers' self-assessment is lower than that of high performers. Interesting. So the Dunning-Kruger effect says that it's kind of the opposite. Graphs. So effectively, people that are worse actually get this low score but think they're better. Whereas people that are actually better, this square line, the people that are actually better, they think that they're worse than they actually are, if you see here. Because the square line says what they think of themselves. So the people that are actually better think of themselves as worse. And if you get a really high score, you can imagine then that would probably just keep going. So people that are really good at things think they're much worse than they actually are. And people that are really bad at things think that they're much better than they actually are. Which is very true. My final grade in statistics can confirm this. Yes. Hey, Gnarly Quack, I'm pretty sure you just joined the Discord. I'd like to thank you. Unless someone else named Decent Duck just joined. Which would be awesome. Hello, Gnarly Quack. How's it going? Alright, we're doing good. We've been streaming almost for 3 hours. Good Mallard says, so I must be good in social situation, right? Right? Derpy says, maybe I am actually a good programmer, lol. Gnarly. So now I'm like, either that was really easy or I just completely screwed it up. That's right. You're like, if I succeeded, then that was easy. If I failed, then man, I did not put enough work. So funny. Okie dokie. I bet we're still gonna crash. But we can try. Wish we knew why we were crashing. In any case, in any sense of the word, we can commit this to Git and then get out of here. Get out of here. That's it. Okay, that should be done. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Get out of here should be a git command, kick W. Gnarly Quack says, it wasn't me in Discord, by the way. Never gotten around to messing around with it, but I guess I probably should at some point. Nice, so it's probably Good Mallard is Decent Duck. That actually makes a lot of sense. There's a few... it's a duck-based day today. Good Mallard says, ye it was. Hey! Derpy says, nothing more satisfying than committing to GitHub at the end of the day. That's right, a little commit, a little pushy, it's beautiful. Eternal Wild Fox says, you should do an OS building stream, that would be cool. Then I can learn. You should honestly go download, like go clone Serenity OS and build it for yourself on your own machine. It's really easy. They have a great build system for Serenity OS. Parser. Begin to correctly parse variable redefinitions. Variable assignment. Sure. Eternal Wild Fox. What did I just say? Eternal Wild Fox says, I've got that source from Minix. That's right. Derpy says that would be pretty dope. So we should do an OS stream. Should we just do an OS where like we work? A stream where like we're trying to code and make the OS better? Or just a stream where we like explore the OS and how to build it and how the build system works. Because I think both of those are their own stream with an OS. An OS kind of, the build system is gigantic, or at least convoluted. And there's so much to explain. Eternal says, build it from the ground up. I mean, we can. We could make a stream OS. We'd have to name it something. And it would suck. It would be awful. Derpy says building it from the ground up would be really cool. You guys realize you're describing like a 6-month long project if I'm streaming it. And in that 6 months, all we're going to end up with is like, we can finally draw to the screen. Gnarly Quack says, somebody was asking about picking projects earlier. My advice is to honestly pick a piece of software you frequently use and wish did something better and write your own. Even if you don't get to a release state, you can learn a ton. That's a good point, Gnarly Quack. I think that can be a little intimidating because learning, there's so much, like, you don't want to worry too much about creating correct software, right? You want to just be able to write software that works and get to a point like at the end of the day, even if you didn't do too much, you're like, well, I feel good. It compiled at the end of the day. I knew what was going on. Eternal says nice. But yeah, building an OS from scratch would be like a 6-month endeavor. And at the end of it, it's going to be like, okay, we now have very basic, very, very basic things going on. Derpy says, can't wait to use Lexer OS instead of Windows. Lamau, thank you so much. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Windows is definitely always going to be more featureful than anything I have. But we could go for like POSIX support, have a layer, have a compatibility layer. No-op OS? Exactly. The No-op OS is pretty great. Noob OS, Lamau. Lol. Everyone's laughing. We're all having fun. This is so much fun. Thank you everybody for watching today. Be sure to check out that Discord down below if you're not in it. Join that no-tiffs group, ask to join, and you'll be notified every time I go live. You'll be pinged, I guess is what it's called. I think we're just going to call that good in the commit. Okay, we push it. It's now live on GitHub. Hey. It's one of the first days I've actually been able to commit to Git on stream. This is awesome. But yeah, no-op OS, that's a great idea. Create the OS that does nothing, but at least we created it. Right? Man, that's going to be like a whole build environment thing too. Because we got to set up our own tool chain at some point. Unless we don't want a user space. If we never want a user space, we never have to worry about the tool chain. It boots, it shuts down, no bugs. Honestly, that would be impressive. The easiest thing to do to a computer is to shut it down, ironically. You just remove power from any part, and it'll go, whoa, I don't work anymore. Derpy Sloth hits us with the lols again. Lol, lol, lol. Alrighty. With that, that is kind of us done for today. We did it. I would like to ask once more, now that we have made it to the end of the stream, if you are an especially generous person and you're feeling nice, there is the donate button down below. There's a place you can leave a message and your name, and I will shout you out on stream. If you do it while I'm not streaming, I'll do it at the next stream, next time I start. But I would really appreciate any and all donations. Obviously, I don't want your money. If you need your money, keep it. But I would greatly appreciate any and all donations. So thank you so much, everybody. Don't feel like you need to do that, though. You are appreciated just for being here, watching, talking in chat. It's so much fun to have all of you here, and I feel like we're all friends here. We have this positive environment we can come hang out in. I really love it. Derpy says just press the power off button, Lamau. Gnarly says, that's literally how Linux started. Linus posted, I have this kernel that boots. Something like that. It's true. Just getting it to turn on is it's a feat in and of itself. Because back in those days, it was BIOS, and you had to work your way up. You had to write a real mode bootstrapper, which then would load your protected mode bootstrapper, and it was like, this is awful. Goodbye, Derpy. Thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate you. Let's run something interesting. Drip. Take care, Linzer. Enjoy the rest of your day. If it's nice out, go get some fresh air. Or even if it's not. Thank you, Gnarly Quack. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Derpy Sloth, Gnarly Quack, Good Mallard, Eternal Wild Fox, Adelicio. We had a bunch more people in here earlier that I'm forgetting. I feel so bad. We also had, who do we have? Not Yes John came in. Yeah, we had so much fun today. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. I will see you, and I am out. Bye-bye. Compiler work tomorrow. Maybe we'll learn algal. Let's learn algal tomorrow. We'll try and do that. We'll plan for that. Anyways, bye.